I'd like to read a little bit of Patanjali's text on pranayama. He doesn't write a lot about it, even though it is one of the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, but he keeps it very simple. The first thing he says is, once asana is perfect, then pranayama follows, which means to stop breathing. So yes, in the Ashtanga, we have yama niyama, asana, learning to sit, and then learning to hold the breath. Then he continues with a very funny phrase, and he says, the exercise of pranayama means to hold the breath after inhaling, before inhaling, and at every other moment. So this is quite funny. You start, after inhaling, before inhaling, but then also at every other moment. So you don't breathe anymore, right? Then you stop breathing. And then he continues and says, but that depends on the place, the time, and the frequency of the exercise. Meaning, this is something you gradually will build up. First, you will hold the breath after inhaling. Then you will learn to also hold the breath after exhaling. And then only you can learn to completely stop breathing. So this depends. It's a slow process. Slowly, breath becomes more subtle and slow. But the ultimate pranayama, he says, is to stop breathing. So he's not leaving any alternative ideas there, right? There's very clear message what to him is pranayama. And then he also explains why. That pranayama causes the dissolving of the koshas, the different bodies, which cover Purusha with light energy, which cover the self or the pure consciousness with light energy. And prana is light energy. This is what I was explaining before. We have these different bodies, they are made out of prana, and they are the ones who are hiding the self from us. Or rather, it is because we identify with those bodies that we do not see ourselves as the self. Like, let's say you feel like chocolate ice cream, and some ice cream car passes by and it just goes. Then it is your mind who has a problem, right? The mind saw the car coming and thought, wow, chocolate ice cream already, tasting it, like completely going into it, and then the car passes by and then the mind has a problem. You don't need to have a problem. You, in the sense of the self, the pure consciousness, you don't need chocolate ice cream. It's only your mind. So if you can see that separation, then you have no problem. But most of the time we think we are that mind. We think we are having a problem. We think we want chocolate ice cream. And then yes, indeed, we have a problem. So to resolve that, to dissolve those bodies, we need to hold the breath. They are made out of prana. If we stop giving them prana, they have to become transparent. It's not like you will come out of your deep meditation and discover that your body is completely gone or something. No? It's not like that. It's only the connection between the self and the bodies which is becoming more subtle, more transparent. And the last thing he says is, this pranayama also allows then mind to concentrate. And this is something my teacher Harish Johari used to tell me so often. 100 times. Stop breathing and mind will stop. Very often you come with some problem to him and say, oh Dada, I'm feeling bad, this, that. Stop breathing and mind will stop. Sometimes you would actually also try to deal with the problem, but sometimes not. And that was the answer you got. And truly, if you try it, you will experience it for yourself. If you stop breathing, then this does not work so fast anymore, does not work so well anymore. And to demonstrate it, I like to try a little rhythmic exercise. I will just ask you to make a simple calculation. First, without any breathing exercise. So the first one who knows the result of this calculation just says it. And if it's wrong, I'll say it's wrong, and then the next one, whatever. Right? So the question is, how much is 33 times 6 minus 4?
194.
Yes. 4 seconds. I was a little bit calculating. Okay. Now I'd like you all to take a deep breath and hold the breath, and then I'll wait for like a few seconds, and then I'll give you another one. Right? So, okay, now inhale, hold the breath. So now, how much is 44 times 4 minus 3? No. No. Nobody can do it, or what? But usually it's more difficult. You try anything at home. You know, it's good to know, Whenever you want to think about something and find a solution here, make sure that you're not stopping to breathe, no? Because that energy you need. But whenever you really don't want to think so much, when you feel you have thought about the same problem 20 times and not found a solution, so better let it go, then you do, and you hold the breath. No? And then this will become less. Many other things also happen. As I said, there's more ojas being produced, and there's another kind of energy being produced which is called pran agni. Pran agni means like the fire of prana. This is also related to our digestive fire. In that way it will also actually, in the long run, help your digestion. But the main thing that this pran agni will do when you are doing this exercise, it will start cleaning out your nadis, your energy channels. It is a very, very purifying effect which is there from holding the breath. Another one, of course, is that it will remove any unpleasant emotion. Any anger, any fear, any sadness, whatever it is, if you feel it is too much, then pull the brake and stop breathing. And it will become less. There is nothing which requires so much energy as an unpleasant emotion. And you know that because if you've been very angry, then afterwards you feel very tired. Or whatever emotion it was. It's very tiring. So just reduce the energy and the emotion will become less. I'm not saying that will solve the problem. The moment you start breathing again normally, maybe it will come back, but at least it will give you a possibility to somehow start a solution, somehow start a different attitude, somehow work with whatever else you've been given to deal with that anger and its sources and so on. So this is very, very important. And another very good aspect of it is that by learning to hold the breath, you are learning to conquer the fear of death. This is very, very basic. Okay, if you stop the breath for 5 seconds, this will not bring this fear of death. But if you stop it for half a minute or 1 minute, then that fear will come and you will learn to overcome it. And that is so essential. Because all our problems are related originally to the fear of death. The ego is nothing but a product of fear. is nothing but the fear of dying, the fear of not existing, the fear of not being important. These are all things which are creating the ego. And it is out of that fear that we create all this nonsense with our ego, that we attach to all kinds of things and so on. So just this basic exercise of holding the breath will teach you to reduce that fear. And it will in that way have an effect very much beyond the pure energetic part or the physical part. It will have very strong impact on your whole personality, and you will become much more confident. Also through the ojas actually will increase your confidence, but also just quite simply you have conquered like a very basic emotion. It's the same thing you can say like if you conquer pain. Like in some exercises you can hold fire or something and not feel the pain. This is also very good exercise to go against your body, to go against your natural urge to do like this, to keep holding it. Very good exercise. But so anyway, that's a different one. But so here, without any damage, really, you can really work on yourself in a very simple way. And the good part is also you don't need so much time for this exercise. If you do this for 10 minutes, seriously, then that's already quite something. And everybody has 10 minutes. So it's very, very basic exercise. It is definitely also a cure for chronic fatigue. If anybody is in that situation, definitely you should try. If you go in India to sadhu and you say, I have chronic fatigue, then he'll not run off into the forest and find some special plant or something. The first thing he'll do is teach you pranayama. Because chronic fatigue is a lack of ojas, is a lack of essential energy. And so to build up the ojas through the pranayama, gradually, it will take some time, it will take months or whatever. But gradually it will come and the energy will come back. And the health will come back. This exercise definitely also is important for those who like to practice asana. Because in asana, the most difficult thing is not to get into the posture, right? That's not so difficult. The difficult thing is to hold the posture. And to learn to hold the posture, you have to learn to hold the breath. Because as long as you are breathing and you have no control over your breath, then your posture can never be stable. Because the breath will bring you out of balance. So in that way there are many aspects of it. And then, as I said, in deep meditation, it will just happen. It is not so that people who go into deep meditation consciously stop breathing. This is not what is happening. But by learning to stop breathing, by making themselves and their body and their whole system comfortable with not breathing, they allow it to happen by itself in samadhi. But in samadhi, this is something which happens. This is not something which is done. And in this way, I have to say that if you are learning this exercise, and let's say in the beginning, you take 4 breaths a minute. That anybody can do. That's 15 seconds for one breath. Let's say in, holding and out, 15 seconds. That's like from the first time, this is like a level you can get to. Then slowly you increase. Maybe you have 3 breaths in a minute or 2 breaths in a minute. 2 breaths in a minute is 1 breath, 30 seconds. This is still not very difficult. But it probably takes most people a while to get there, comfortably. And then you move on and on. 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. When you have one breath in 2 minutes, according to ancient scripture, it is enough. You have learned. You know how to stop breathing. You don't have to do it more than that. It's not advisable. Up to 2 minutes, no problem. But don't make it 3, 4, 5. That can happen in samadhi, but that's a different story. Because then there is much less use of energy also. Then the whole energy is withdrawn. Then the body becomes cold. Then the organs stop functioning. Then even the heart at some point stops beating. So you cannot compare that. But 2 minutes is something most people can learn in like 1 year. 1 year of daily exercise, little bit, as I said, it doesn't have to be so long. In 1 year you can learn. And you will be a completely different person. A few other warnings maybe are that it is good to do this kind of pranayama in a place where there is fresh air, logically. You need prana. But it's not good to do it in the wind. In the windy place outside, it's not good. So outside is only possible if there is not so much wind. Otherwise, you go in a corner somewhere or inside, but then you leave a window open and make sure there is enough fresh air. If there is too much wind, then your pranayama will increase your vata, will increase the wind element, and you will become more nervous instead of becoming less nervous. Best direction to face are north and east. And the best time to do it is in morning and evening, sunrise, sunset, or around that time. It does not mean you cannot do it at any other time. You can do it at any time. But those are the best times. But basically, it should happen when your stomach is empty. When your stomach is full, it's not such a good idea to do it in any serious way. It's no problem to do it for a few minutes or something. But if you do it in a serious way, then your stomach should be empty. Because if you do it in a serious way, then your digestion will stop. And if food is still in the stomach and your digestion stops, not a good idea. So better to do it like 3-4 hours after food, which usually means you do it in the morning before food, no? After the night, and then maybe you can do it late afternoon or something far away from the midday meal, something like that. Once I was in America in some yoga center and I met a friend there who just came out of a pranayama class. And he said, "Oh man, we just did pranayama, it was great, I was high, man, it's like..." So this is actually not the result you are aiming at. To get high in your mind is not the result you are aiming at. It's actually also not the result that will come with this kind of pranayama very easily, but it could come. We're all very different. Who knows what happens? So also in that exercise, it can happen that you start feeling very lightheaded. Very lightheaded means vata in the mind. Not good. So if you start feeling very lightheaded, better stop. And next time maybe do a little bit less and see then what happens. Maybe it was just a temporary thing, some temporary imbalance in your system which produced it. So, but this is a warning, and definitely this is a warning for many other kinds of pranayama, which are more energy absorbing. The pranayama I'm talking about here, first of all, means to reduce the breath, so the immediate effect will be less prana. Not so much chance that you get lightheaded. Many other techniques are deep and off and a lot and fast breathing and all these things. If you get lightheaded, okay, for a short time, okay, but don't make such a habit out of that. It's not good. And then definitely for this kind of pranayama, breathing should only be through the nose, not through the mouth. Some other techniques are there in pranayama with breathing through the mouth, but here, when you are exercising breath retention, then it should always happen through the nose. This is because the quality of the prana will be different, because the nose has some effect on it, and also because by breathing through the nose you can never breathe too fast. And this is what you absolutely have to avoid. Any kind of will immediately, destroy whatever peace you have built up, whatever ojas you are trying to create. It's too much. But that you cannot do through your nose. It doesn't work. It's too small. So breathing through the nose is the main thing. So we're also going to do it now, because I'm just talking. Yeah, we still have time. But I just want to mention a few other techniques which are good, like in the beginning, to add to it. Because in the beginning it's not so easy to really hold the breath a long time. And maybe first you need to focus a little bit more on good breathing. Good breathing means slow and deep breathing. I mean, I probably don't have to say this because most people here have some idea. But so good deep breathing means that when you breathe in, your belly also is like moving forward. If you hold your hand here and you breathe in and you kind of don't feel any change, then that is not good breathing. Good breathing happens from your diaphragm here, like a big muscle which is there, which opens your lungs. Some people only breathe like with their breast muscles. This is not good breathing. Good breathing should be going down. So this is definitely also something to exercise if you're not used to it. It will also very much increase your life quality if you can learn to breathe more deeply and make more of a habit of it. And it's also very relaxing for your belly to do that. And then you can also add to it a little habit of sighing, going, which we all do whenever we feel like life is difficult. It's very good, because at that time all that energy, all that dirty energy goes out, and here the organs, the intestines especially, can relax. People having problems with the intestines, many people have nervous intestines these days, are very much helped by that exercise. Then that should be done 10 size 3-4 times a day, something like that. So you can do that very rapidly, these intestines will relax. Because that tension, that energy will get out. So slow, deep breathing, belly breathing. An interesting figure, let's say, that they mention in the Vedas is that a lifetime is not measured like in years or hours or something like that, but it is measured in breaths. And so they say every person is born with exactly 900,000 breaths. So obviously the more slow you are breathing, the longer you will live. So these are very good things to do, and the habit, let's say, of first just slow breathing is often done with the mantra So-Hum, in which you think, you don't say it, you think So when inhaling and hum when exhaling, and you go very slowly. And this hum is almost like this sighing that I was saying about, this letting go. And so hum is very jhani, it means I am that, or that I am actually. So that, hum is from aham, I am. So that I am. And that is then the unnameable, pure self. So these are good combinations or preparations And then one more is called alternate nostril breathing. Definitely you have heard about, is very much like known and related to pranayama. It means that you breathe in through one nostril, you hold the other, you block the other, and then you change the finger and you breathe out. This can also be combined with holding the breath. You can breathe in, hold it for a while. I can't hold it when I'm speaking, but and then breathe out on the other side and so on. This is also good. This actually reduces the conversation between your left and your right brain, or part of the brain. Do I have to explain that? Actually, one side of the brain, so actually the left part is more rational, is more thinking in words. This side, the right side of the brain, is more emotional, is more thinking in images and feelings. So a lot of the conversation that we have in our mind is, I think this but I feel that. Or I feel that, but I think it would be better if I did otherwise. This is a lot of what we are thinking about. And we can actually affect it because there is a few nerves that directly enter the brain. Most nerves, of course, they come through here, through the brain stem and the spine. But the eyes, they have an effect. And in the nose also, there are two nerves which cross here, and then they come here in the brain. And so by stimulating the nerve, by only breathing on that side, you will stimulate the other side of the brain, and by breathing through this side, you will stimulate that side of the brain. And by breathing alternately, one side, the other side, one side, the other side, both will become more balanced. So this is also a very, very good exercise in preparation of meditation and also of this kind of exercise. Actually, what most people also don't know is that there is always one nostril dominant at any given time, or maybe you are just changing from one to the other, then both can seem similar. But so if you inhale strongly through the nose, you will feel more cold air coming on one side than on the other side. Then that means that nostril is dominant. Like for the moment, in my it's the right side. So that creates an imbalance. Now my rational mind is more dominant. My feminine side gets suppressed. So it's creating a little imbalance, a little problem. But so by doing this exercise, both can be friends again and not quarrel. And then, this is another technique actually related to swar yoga, which is also a kind of pranayama technique with which you can do so many things. Because like if you are too emotional, then you can just, block this nostril, put a little cotton ball here, and only breathe on this side for 3-4 hours, and you'll change. You'll change. And the other way around also. And one is actually cooling while the other is heating. So if you have a cold, you can block this nostril so that you only have the hot breath, and this will heat you up and remove the cold, and vice versa. So many games you can play with prana, it's without end. But so, let's now come to the actual exercise, and I'll just explain it, and then we can do it. So you do maybe some of these preparations, as I said, or you combine them, like the alternate nostril breathing, and then you start regulating your breath, so that first the inhale, the holding of the breath, and the exhale have more or less the same duration. So you could count 1 and then hold the breath and count 1 and then exhale and count 1. But this counting is not so very much fun. So mostly we then use a mantra to count. And then Gayatri mantra is not very practical in this stage because it's very long. No? If you have to inhale with 1 Gayatri, it's a little bit long. No? So then maybe you use Om Namah Shivaya or something. So then you have 1 Om Namah Shivaya inhaling, 1 Om Namah Shivaya holding, and 1 Om Namah Shivaya exhaling. Very simple. 1, 1, 1. Then slowly you will increase so that you have 1 Om Namah Shivaya inhaling, 2 Om Namah Shivayas holding, and 2 Om Namah Shivayas exhaling. And then you go to 1 Om Namah Shivaya inhaling, 4 Om Namah Shivayas holding, and 2 Om Namah Shivayas exhaling. And that is a good proportion. 1, 4, 2. So the inhale should be short. It's very difficult actually to do a very slow inhale. Naturally, especially if you've been holding the breath, you'll be wanting to inhale a little bit fast. So that always is the shortest. Then the holding of the breath is the longest. 4 mantras. And then the exhale minimum should be 2. And then you can just multiply, saying 2 Om Namah Shivayas inhale, 8 Om Namah Shivayas holding, 4 Om Namah Shivayas exhale, 4 Om Namah Shivayas inhale, 16 Om Namah Shivayas holding, 8 Om Namah Shivayas exhale, and so on. Whatever you want, and of course, one person will go Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and the other one will go Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So there's also a lot of variety there. You can play with it as you feel like. No? There's no problem. And actually, once you're getting a little bit into it, if you prefer Gayatri, because many have been using Gayatri, then you can use Gayatri also. Because then it will be not a problem. You can do Gayatri quite fast also, no? So then 1 inhale for 1 Gayatri, and then 4 Gayatris holding the breath, and then 2 exhale. It's not a problem. After a while. It's not so difficult. Yeah.
Would you ever recommend holding the exhale in this?
Oh, good question, because I should have explained that. It is done, but it is really a very advanced practice. It has a very different effect than holding the breath after the inhale. It will not so much increase your ojas, so that's mostly done by holding the breath and then also slowly breathing out. But if then you also stop, if then you also hold, then you're already trying to go really to the very deep meditative kind of pranayama. And actually there, the risk of prana being converted to vata and causing strange things in your mind becomes bigger. So it's not advisable to do it without proper guidance or without proper experience. It's not advisable. So as I said, I cannot really guide you much. No? I'm not going to be sitting here and say, now 1 Om Namah Shivaya, inhale, 1 Om Namah Shivaya, holding, 1 Om Namah Shivaya, exhale, go. It doesn't make sense. No? You're just going to have to build it up a little bit yourself. No? Very simple to understand. But start with that, 1, 1, 1. Then make it 1, 2, 1. Then maybe make it 1, 2, 2. And make it 1, 3, 2. And make it 1, 4, 2. Eventually you go from 1, 1, 1 to 1, 4, 2. 1 inhale, 4 holding, 2 exhale. And once you're there, you can double it or triple it. And use maybe the speed also of the mantra to a little bit adjust. No? Because if you double it in one time, it's a little bit much maybe, but okay, let the mantra flow a little bit faster and it will also work. Then that way. And it's a very nice way to do it, because then you are also doing some mantra meditation. You also have the effect of the mantra which is there. So it's very good practice. And I've definitely here been generally promoting mantra meditation and Gayatri mantra meditation. But definitely to do this in advance of that is a very powerful combination. Now, many people say, oh, I try mantra meditation, but it's difficult and all the time thoughts are coming in between and so on. Well, then I say, okay, start with some pranayama, with some holding of the breath, and you will see your mind will be less annoying, will be less creating all kinds of ideas and thoughts. So now is the moment to little bit, we have half hour left, to a little bit experience that for yourself. And I hope you all get a very good experience, and in that way feel confident to do it more at home. And maybe I can even take out that light now.